Welcome to this video, in which I'll show you how I build a fortified house in 28mm wargaming scale. I made a sketch in EPS foam first, but I want the final build to be in XPS crafting foam. So working directly off the sketch, I'll start replacing or covering everything with XPS. I start with the top of the tower, and this is just a ring that I cut out of XPS foam with my hot wire cutter, of which I later cut off the top layer, and out of this I cut the battlements. What you see me doing here is drawing stones. After I've drawn stones, I always hit everything with a broken off piece of brick. This creates a stone-like imprint. You can also do this with, for example, a rock that you find in your garden, or with some tin foil that you rolled up into a ball first. I also have to write the stone pattern on the backs and sides of the battlements. Since this is not doable when they're still attached to the tower, I loosen them consciously one by one, because then it's much easier to put them back in the same spot than when you would loosen a whole bunch of them. The top of the tower is now finished, and because it's wider than the rest of the tower, I want to create some arches under it to support it. I'm using the original EPS part from the sketch, which I will cover with some thin layers of XPS. I'll make a quick sketch directly on the EPS just to get a global idea of what I want the arches to look like. I'm going to have to cut off a little layer because I have to make space for the layer of XPS foam. So I connect the two pieces and then I put them in a circle cutting attachment, and then with the hot wire cutter I cut off a few millimeters. I glue the parts together, secure them with push pins, and then I can start to fit my first layer of XPS. I just drew several vertical lines on the first strip, and that's going to help with drawing the arches. Now I make another layer, another strip, and I mark off the same positions of those vertical lines. And from here on I can start drawing the arches. I cut out all the arches. The first row of arches is done. Here you see it already installed in place, but it's directly still over the EPS. Later I will put back that first layer under it, the one I drew the lines on. And I'm already making the second row. It's made the same way as the first row, except that this row is a bit more narrow and a bit less high. I reattached the first layer of XPS and now I'm installing the 2 rows of arches. I paste one narrow strip horizontal on top of all the arches. It makes a nice transition from the arches to the rest of the tower. And then I cut all these small vertical strips which I place in between of all the arches. And together this results in yet another layer and a bit more depth. I made another horizontal strip too that goes all around the tower that will be just below the battlements. And here are the results so far. Next we'll be making a transition between this part of the tower and the shaft of the tower. Eventually this piece will be on this piece, and because I like it how this goes like this, gets smaller. This one will need to be smaller too, but here will be the XPS foam layer. So I don't know yet until I finish like this, how big I have to make this one. I'm first going to make this now, and I'm going to do that with savings I had from earlier cuts that I made, like leftovers. I'm going to cut them a bit finer so I can make them follow this shape. I've pasted all the strips and it looks quite alright already. I just have to make some vertical lines to separate them and give the bricks some structure by hitting them with a piece of brick. Like this, this is a good example. When you have like bricks like this with a really square still, I really try to get this corners, draw around it and get it really like a brick, a bit of an all brick shape, so with more round corners and some dents around the edges and everything, and then you get more like this. You see, it starts to be more individual bricks now, to look more like individual bricks. There's some little damages right away, and so like this. Okay, now I'm going to be using some finer tools, like a fine clay sculpting tool and some crooked hooks that I bought in a secondhand store, just to bring in some more detail into the bricks. You can use other tools for this too, of course. I push back some bricks or parts of bricks to get some variation in the elevation, and in the end, I also hit everything with a broken off piece of brick to get that stone structure in there. This is the result for now, and I think it looks pretty good. And as you can see here, I also drew some lines on those arches that I made before to make those also look like they're made of bricks. The top of the shaft was crooked, so I tried to cut that straight, but I kind of messed up. So I took it off, and I'm just going to continue with the part below it and first build that, and then we'll see from there. I'll make a new part under it later. First I traced the top part of the tower on the below part to get the right size. I will have to make room for a layer of XPS, so I have to take off yet a few millimeters, and I just estimate this. I'm just going to cut it and see if it works. After cutting it, it's still a bit too big, but it's no problem. I'll just cut off a few extra millimeters and try again. After cutting this piece of the shaft, I also provided it with bricks in the same way as I did with the top of the tower. want to create a window, and therefore I'm replacing part of the EPS with some XPS. I cut out some more shapes out of leftover parts of foam to create the rest of the shaft of the tower. So I've cut out a little collection of shapes, and these will form the base for the shaft of the tower. I just have to cut in some bricks now and do some detailing, and of course make the window. I found out that I made a little mistake since I'm actually limited in how high I can make this build, and that's due to the fact that this is going to be displayed temporarily in a cabinet somewhere. So it's too high now. I'm going to take out one part, and I'll relocate the window. I think I'll put it about here, like this. I'm going to cut out both the pieces and also the windows. I have to make two windows. That's practically more easy because I'm cutting through the whole shape with the wire cutter. The last two pieces of the tower, including the windows, are cut out. When I combine everything, it looks like this. Before assembling everything, I have to create some more details, and here I'm carving bricks. I put back the cutout piece in the center to make everything more sturdy, and then it's easier to carve. The basic brickwork is done now, but I'll refine everything with the same tools and the same method that I used for the top of the tower. All right, the looks of these parts might be a bit confusing to you, but I basically uh, cut those shapes that I made in more small pieces, and that had to do with that I wanted bigger windows, so I cut away more and went all the way through. And I also made bricks on the inside of the walls, and it was much easier to do when I like cut up some pieces. So that's why I decided to do this. Well, anyway, it's time to glue together everything that we have so far. Okay, now it's time to make like the stones that are outside of the window, around the window. I don't know what you call them, but you probably know what I mean. First, I do some measuring. I've cut a thin plate out of a few millimeter XPS foam. I bend it a little bit to make it fit the tower better. Now I measure the inside, and I'm going to draw and cut out the window first. After that's done, I draw around the outside of the window. And I've thrown some tiles too. I cut out the tiles. And here's the result. After I was done, I made an exact copy because we have two windows, of course. And then I just pasted them onto the windows. I did a bit of refinement and then this was finished. I didn't really like the look of the battlements. I wanted to change something, so I cut them off at an angle. I cut one of them and it looked good to me, so I'm going to cut the rest too. Things looked already a lot better, but I still wasn't happy. I needed something else, so I decided to cut some strips and paste these onto the battlements too. After all this was done, the battlements look like this. The tower still needs a floor. Before I build it, I want to check how high we are. I take a minifigure and I see that you can barely watch over the wall, and this is in scale already quite a big fella. So I'm going to make the floor a bit higher and then finish it. It was a bit difficult to measure and copy the inside, so I just cut out a piece out of a bigger piece of thin XPS foam, and I just start cutting a circle and keep cutting it until I get the right shape to put it inside the tower. And now I'm going to draw a hatch and some planks. The first hatch actually failed, so I'm making a new one here, and I'm doing it on the plate that was beneath it to get a bit more height. And now I'll just put both of them in so I still have the right height. And that's the result for now. The tower is complete, and that's also the end of this part of the video. I will continue this video. I will make some follow-up videos on the rest of the build. So if you enjoyed this one, then keep an eye on my channel. Thanks again, and for now, bye bye.